A new gacha game is at the losers with too much money demographic, and no, I'm not talking about that Persona one. That would make too much sense. Instead, I'm talking about this, XXL Woofia. Sorry about the way it looks, there's no way to play it on PC and I had to make do. Anyways, XXL Woofia was released this past Thursday, and it's an NSFW gacha game that dropped on Juneteenth of all days, which certainly has me feeling some type of way. Not sure if it's a good or bad feeling, we'll find out later I guess. The game follows Ying Yu, a coach who works at a gym in the city section Hung. And no, I'm not making that name up, that's kind of how everything in this game is named. Kinda hate it, kinda love it, it's a real mixed bag. It works with a few other characters. Most interestingly to me is the kangaroo Micro, and yes, that is his name. Like I said, everything is named that way. Everything is all chill and good in Section Hunk until these slimes start attacking people and draining them of their, passion, I guess, to put it mildly. They do say the after effects of being attacked by the slimes is like a super intense post-nut clarity, so take that for what you will. But what's the real problem are these dark chains which wrap themselves around people and drive them berserk, which does happen to one of Ying's friends, but he's got a special power that can bring them back. Usually through some good old-fashioned bondage, because why not? But it seems like this attack on Section Hunk is just the beginning of deeper problems for the world of Woofia. The writing for this game is terribly goofy, and honestly it's probably for the best since again this game does have full NSFW. It'd be very hard to take it too seriously. The game also likes stocking its writing full of innuendos, which is a little weird since it's also very overt sometimes. It's a weird balance that manages to strike quite well. The thing I actually like most about the story is that the game doesn't have a self-insert because it means we have a fully fleshed out main character. It means that Ying has a real place in the story and is able to interact with the characters and bounce off of them. Rather than just having an odd comment here or there, he actually agrees with Flybo that running out of protein is on the same level as an invasion. And the rest of the cast isn't that bad either. Namely, there's Flybo, who is this game's mascot character really. Mascot characters usually fall into two categories. There's the cute and subservient kind, like Teddy from Persona, and then there's the spunky and rebellious kind, like Morgana, who's also from Persona. Flybo manages to do both without being overbearing. He wants to help and is helpful, but he swears to God that these sex-crazed freaks better at least wash their hands before they touch him. And I do like the world building and setting, and thank fuck for that, since I had to claw my way through this game's story mode because it was a rough ride, especially when it was so hard. Can you tell I review manga and stuff from how much I just whinged about the story in a gacha game of all things? So let me stop doing that, for now, and take a few seconds to discuss the gameplay proper, because it's a turn-based RPG with very simple controls. You've got a main attack and a super attack with a bunch of passives for every character. You tap for your regular attacks, swipe your units up to use your special when it's ready, and pull them down to defend. There's also an element system like what you see in standard Pokemon. Fuck, I've seen an element system so often that Pokemon seems like the peak of complexity at this point. It's pretty simple and frankly not that good. If I compare it to anything, it's a bit like a budget ZZZ, where they're clearly doing the most with what they have, but are clearly kind of limited by nature of being a gacha game and can't fully flesh out the combat system to resemble something like Shin Megami Tensei or God forbid Fuga. But I'm willing to overlook all of that due to this feature here. Auto Battle. Who cares if the combat is mid if you don't really need to do it? But I will say the AI is kind of stupid, and if you need to make sure you do good, you will have to play yourself. The fights do actually get kind of hard because they have that dislike thing where there's a turn limit, and then there's the star system and you have to beat them under 20 turns to get 3 stars and also have no units that die. And then that gets doubly harder once they have enemies that can also heal themselves, so that time gets inflated. But there's more you can do in the game aside from combat, and most of it's the standard gacha stuff. XXL Woofia won't let you forget it's a gacha because it has a ton of systems that all lean towards that gacha style of resource collection. There's stuff you get for logging in and the stuff you get for accomplishing benign goals like leveling up your buddies. Oh yeah, that's what they call your units or summons or espers or whatever in this game. Buddies. Which is an impressively mellow thing for the things you can do with them, and of course, those things tie back into that gacha system. I can't really show it on screen because of course you can't show stuff like that on a family-friendly website like YouTube, presuming you're not an advertiser. The game even has the story mode with the expected hard mode and challenge quest, which honestly took me way longer than I thought it would to unlock. Like seriously, you need to unlock the challenge quest at level 10, which is kind of nutty, like that's some real commitment. What's notable about these hard quests is that they do have their own form of resource you spend aside from stamina to do them, because once more, this is a gacha game. And I do like how the game has a Dad's Coming mode, which doesn't actually do what you think the name implies. In fact, it does the opposite, silhouetting all the characters in case anyone's watching over your shoulder, and it is pretty complete too, extending even into the battles and stuff. The game's real strength is in its presentation, with all these nice little animations here and there, like even pulling is done with its own unique way, where you ring a bell and who you get is signified by drinks. I couldn't tell you what drink means what though, I just know that bigger is better. And since I'm pretty much already talking about it, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the gacha. It's fairly complicated, so please do pay attention. You have two pool currencies. The first are silver bells, which is your standard way of gambling. At the beginning, you spend these on the newbie banner, and after that, you'll unlock the standard banner. They function mostly the same, but the newbie banner will give you a guaranteed XXL unit of your choice after you hit 88 pulls. The standard banner has a random PD at 80 pulls, where you can mark down units you want to make them more likely to get. And then there's the premium currency, golden bells, which are used for the limited banner. Both the standard banner and the newbie banner have a pity of 80 pulls and guaranteed in XXL, but the limited has a secondary pity system where you get one ticket. Okay, I'm pretty sure golden ticket isn't actually their name, but that's what they look like, so that's what I'm gonna call them. And you get these golden tickets for every pull you do. And it's worth noting that it's 10 bells for an 11 pull, so it will always get one extra ticket than the bells you spend, so I do recommend you only ever do batch pulls and not single pulls. But these gold tickets in the pity come with some pretty big caveats, namely that the gold tickets do not reset when the limited banner ends, but the 80 pity does. If you don't get the legendary the first time, the second legendary pull is guaranteed to be that special limited buddy, but all that progress you make towards getting that second guaranteed pull will be lost once that banner ends. The biggest thing to note is that the rainbow gems, the currency you get by completing missions and stuff, can only be used to buy the silver bells infinitely and not the golden bells. So those gold bells are at a premium because you can't just stock up on rainbow gems to supplement a shortage. That being said, I don't mind that too much because the gacha system in Woofia is actually pretty generous. Sure, it has a lot of tiny details, but the rates themselves are kind of insane. This light has a drop rate of around 1% for its rarest unit. Zenithzone Zero has a drop rate of 0.6% for its rarest units. Asum has a drop rate of like 1.7 for 5 stars on a 10 pull, and that gets even lower for singles. XXL Woofia, on the other hand, seems to have an across-the-board drop rates, for their rarest units mind you, of 3%. If you don't play gacha games, that might seem low, but if you do, that is genuinely mind-boggling, because remember, you're doing 11 pulls at a time. I have done my fair share of pulls without spending any money on this game. I know I've done at least 150 pulls, probably a little less than that, across the newbie banner and the limited banner respectively, because I haven't touched the standard one yet. And across 150 pulls, I've gotten 8 XXL buddies counting duplicates, which I've gotten 2 of. I have never actually hit that 80 pity. I have always gotten an XXL unit before reaching it because they have a drop rate of 3%. It's that generous. I had to get double legendaries on that limited banner to get the currented limited buddy, and I only spent like 50 or 60 of those golden bells. That is 2 legendaries without hitting the pity at all. The rate is so good that I'm pretty much willing to overlook any of the other issues with the game. Though, in the interest of fairness, I do have to mention my biggest issue with the game, and that is how skewed the unit attributes are. Out of all the XXL buddies right now when the game is first out, 5 out of the 7 are wood attribute, with only 2 others being water and fire, and I'm not counting the limited guy who's also fire since he's a part of the exclusive limited pool. Like half the difficulty of this game comes from simply not having a decent unit of the given attribute. A single fire enemy that heals itself will damn near lock you out of a perfect score. Let's also not forget that there's light and dark attributes, a thing that there are no units for. So there's just 2 enemy types you generally just can't get an attribute advantage against. And I didn't say XXL units, I said no units, including the less rare kinds. Just 2 attributes that are just off limits to you at this point. That being said, that pretty much wraps up all my thoughts on XXL Woofia. The gameplay itself is rather mid, and the unit variety does need a lot of work, but zooey mama, that drop rate is immense. If you're over 18 and willing to give a gacha game a try, why not? Now let's wrap this video up with the usual Patreon shoutouts. For our 3 stars, we have special thanks to Choron, SkyKing64, 87 Warrock, Garen Phase, Zora Chow, Fenimist, Harloon78, The Good Old Days, Andy Stassi. For 4 stars, of McCoides and Audley All at the Northern Trade Union. And for our Super D2 special 5-star shoutouts, we have Hodari Lion at Darlow Farms. Thank you for watching. Do be sure to like and subscribe. As always, this is your Furry signing out.